Alright, welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. Still trying to play around with the different camera here, see what I can get going with it. This is a tiger bark ficus, another type of a ficus microcarpa. I need to take the wire off today, and then when I put the wire back on, I know I'm going to get this one. I've never had wire in this branch here. I know I'm going to get this one, and then I'm going to get a few select other ones. I've never had wire on these two here. And you can already see where they're just kind of coming up a little bit too much there. I do want this to remain the apex. That would be the proposed front. And I'm going to have to do something with this guy here, kind of getting in front there, but we'll see. Eventually that might get up high enough there. I've done a couple of videos on this tree before. This was just a really, it was a pencil thick tree, January of 2020. And I put it out. I actually let it grow into the ground for a little bit. And I had this as a really big sacrifice branch coming off this side. This was at one point going to be kind of a secondary sacrifice branch. I decided to keep it, trying to wire a little bit of movement into it. And then this one here kind of popped out under that huge scar. I guess in some ways, I am still new, and as I was growing that sacrifice branch, I never really realized how big that scar was going to be. So I'm trying to let this branch help heal that scar. And today, I'm going to take the wire I've got on there off. It's really cutting it up here at the apex, cutting in a little bit down here, but I'm going to take the wires on there off. Going to get a little movement in here. Try to cut a lot of these growing tips down up here, because I would like to, this one actually has a couple of secondary branches coming off of it. I'd like to get a little, not only movement in there, but also just kind of let the secondary branches kind of come into place like what happened over here. So, but I do also want to keep plenty of energy coming out this way, just like I said, to help heal up that wound. I'll take a knife to some of these scars. As a matter of fact, just take another look at the other scars there. There's another one. Got the big one there. There's another one right there, and then actually the wire there is covering up another one there. So I'll either take a knife or a Dremel to all three of those scars. Just you get some live tissue showing around the edges, and it'll help kind of curl it, it'll curl over a little bit more. And take the wire off, and like I said, prune it just a bit. I'm going to start by taking the wire off. All right, so I got the wire off there. It was biting in fairly decently. It's been 85 days since the wire was on there. So it's about that time. I have found that, compared to the other microcarpas I have or whatever, that this type does grow quite a bit faster. I'm going to do just a little maintenance pruning. A couple of these branches that are kind of growing in on each other. Some straight up branching I don't really want. I have to leave the rest of that. If you look back at the last two videos, cut the apex back really aggressively. I got and I'm not going to get quite as aggressive as I have been. And something about like that. I do want the alternating branches on the way up, but I don't want to keep giving it bigger and bigger scars or large scars to heal up. I'd like to kind of get this presentable about the time I can get that big scar there healed up. So probably have to get rid of that guy. And I do actually remember the last time I did anything with it, I purposely left some weaker growth, trying to get it to gain some strength back up. I do believe that worked. And then all up in here, I'm going to leave the tips here because I cut kind of aggressively a bit on the apex, not a big chop like I've been doing, but I did get aggressive a bit. I am going to try to hedge these back just a little bit, because I do want to cut the tip off here and let some of these secondary branches take over, and I don't want to lose a whole lot of momentum down here. I'll go ahead and do that while I got a hold of this guy right now. And then So just try to, not really looking for anything special shaped here or anything like that, just trying to slow that growth down just a bit. I think this might have been a little bit of one of those weaker branches, so I don't really want to cut a whole lot of that off. And maybe just a little there, and a little here. Something about like that for now. I definitely don't want to take everything off. And that's the front again there. Now, before I go trying to wire it, I'm going to work that scar. Let's see what we can get started. And the idea there is not to cut in deep or anything, just to expose a little bit of the live wood around there. That'll get it rolling over a little bit more. Up here, these other two scars are almost all the way healed already. I'll just kind of stick my knife in there and twist just a little bit. This one was a lot smaller, still noticeable though. Alright, so now I'll get a bit of wire on it. Some of these other branches, as soon as I took the wire off, I saw it kind of come up some. So this one's never had wire on it, so it's got no movement at all. And so I'll wire this with this guy. And then I had these two wired up, and these two are where it cut in the most, I guess because it's in the apex where it's getting the most growth at or whatever. But these two, these two secondary ones, didn't have any. So what I might do is just kind of wire them to each other. And then even if I do leave it on till, spring or so or whatever, if I don't prune these anymore, they'll still have plenty of flexibility in there just in case they all start like pointing back up like they always do. But I'm thinking that I'm probably only going to be able to leave these on for a couple months. That's why I'm just going to wire in a couple spots here. And again, you can see that's what happens when you don't have any wire on there at all. This one's pointing way up compared to the others that have just kind of, been trained a couple times. All right, so the wire's on. So the main reason I did this is to get movement out of this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. There, I got 2 good turns out of it. And maybe go a little further down like that. So that should work there. Kind of double up on some of the movement it already had. And then up top here in the apex, I had the worst biting in on these branches that were wired together, but then these two didn't even have any on there. Kind of wired them intentionally loosely. Really just kind of want to get them down a little bit. So that's all I'll do for now. I do think that thing will just kind of grow out really quick. That should start biting in quick. I don't want super deep cuts into there. So I don't want to wire up the whole tree and have to keep an eye on the whole thing. I'll just do that for now. In no real big hurry. I do want to wait until, that scar there heals up, which will be quite some time. I'm going to guess, or this pot, I'm going to guess about 6 months now, not quite a year. But I don't leave them tied in for long. I leave that sitting up there where I can see it. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. This thing's plenty pot bound. It's not going anywhere. So that's where I had it tied in at. And pull those on out of there. This thing's not going anywhere anytime soon, so we're all good with that.